Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Happy New Year, everybody. 2026 is here. We made it. I sure hope it's better than 2025. 2025 was better than, the height of the lockdowns, the pandemic. So I guess we're on a bit of an up curve, although things seem to be kind of weird still. So what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, we'll talk a little bit about that, where we're going in the new year. But we have today's top news stories to cover as well. Health concerns with, I came up with a new nickname for DJT. No, I don't have Trump derangement syndrome. I'm just a creative kind of guy. Drowsy Donnie. That's what's in the, that's the title for the thumbnail tonight, because President Trump is denying that he falls asleep, even though that's one of the main concerns highlighted in a new Wall Street Journal article highlighting health concerns about the president. We had Mike McCarrick on last night. He's highlighted those same concerns many times. He is now the oldest serving president, even older than Joe Biden was at the same time during his presidency. So I think there are valid concerns there, because I don't know about you, but I've seen President Trump closing his eyes from time to time. So we'll just dig into that a little bit. What else is there? Oil tanker, another one being pursued. The Bella one was been pursued for a while by the U.S., but now there's a new twist in that whole, that developing story. So we'll bring you the twist and explain what that's about. Also tonight, what else is there? Scott Adams. Things are not looking good for the cartoonist, who of course is suffering from cancer and complications from that. So we'll bring you his latest social media post and update on this January 1st, 2026. All that and a whole lot more when we come back on the other side of this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Where shall we begin? Well, how about New York City? That is where Zohran Mamdani has been sworn in as the mayor of NYC. Oops, hang on a second here. Gotta go back. Lost my tab. We'll get it back up for you, I think. No, I lost my tab. Also, you know what else tonight? Oh yeah, okay. We're gonna talk about that alleged drone strike tonight too on one of Putin's residences. I know I showed you last night that it's not true. I mean, I don't think it's true. Could it be true? No. I mean, maybe. No, it's not. Just saying. Let me see here. I lost my tab. What was I looking for again? Oh yeah, Mamdani, right? Because he says that he is going to rule or govern, I guess is the right word. Rule is not the right word. In New York City, expansively. Oh, somebody's trying to say he's a Nazi. He says he's because here, look at this one. Look at this post. They're trying to say this is a Nazi salute. I don't think this one's. I don't know. You can judge for yourself. Anybody putting their arm up in the air now is suspect, right? Hang on here. Here's what it looks like. So this was during his inaugural address. Let me get rid of some of these tabs because it's bogging everything down. Just like Elon Musk. I don't think so. But you can judge for yourself. You tell me, is this a Nazi salute? Some people got really upset with me when I showed Elon doing it. Now the other side will get mad at me for showing you this. I don't know. I can't see the hand all the way. Let's slow it down into slow motion, shall we? Is this a Nazi salute? We'll go half speed. How about that? I don't know. I don't think it quite qualifies. My opinion, my analysis, my expert analysis on this is that the hand is not in the right position. Also, kissing your hand, going like that first and then doing this, I don't think it qualifies. I'll tell you why the hand isn't in the right position, because his hand is not straight out. Sorry, my fingers are a bit bent because I'm an old dude, but his hand, the fingers are like, his hand is is pivoted up like that, like he's waving hello, just a little bit. Now it's open to discussion. I think whether he's criminally responsible for this or not depends on the degree of angle. What do you guys think? I'm going to go to the chat. Is it or isn't it? Is Zohran Mamdani a Nazi salute artist? I don't think it quite qualifies. He's also in the other team, so I don't think he would do it, not intentionally. And we'll go back to the beginning. And I think the way that this gesture began is also an indication of what it really is. I don't remember. Oh, it's on his heart first, and then bam, and he kisses his hand. Okay. What's the result in the chat tonight? Anybody? Dog Mom says no. Lindy says, "Oh, hubby naps all the time. I can't. It makes me nauseous." That's reference to Trump sleeping and being drowsy. Drowsy Donnie. Yeah, Belovely says, "In the arm supposed to be straight out." I think so. Yeah, I think so. So he's either a really bad Nazi, like not a good one, at like being good at it. Not that there's such a thing, I think, as a good Nazi. What a great way to start off 2026. Is Zohran Mamdani a Nazi? Oh, hang on. Somebody made artwork out of this. Let's bring it up here. Somebody made a sketch on Twitter. I don't know. Is that Zohran Mamdani? Maybe. We have something else to show you tonight too. Some artwork that was auctioned off at a Trump New Year's Eve party. Yeah, some people on the other team say that Zohran Mamdani is a communist and that the days of big government are not over. Here's Bernie and Zohran in NYC. Bernie Sanders swears in communist. Bernie Sanders swears in communist Zohran Mamdani as mayor. Swears in. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll be fine. Bernie Sanders swears in communist Zohran Mamdani as mayor using the Quran. It's official in New York City. Forgot. Okay, I didn't know they used the Quran there for this today. So that's news to me. Let's tune in.
I, Zohran Mamdani, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New York,
Audio's too low for you, but
and the Charter of the City of New York,
you got the idea.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
Is that a Nazi salute there? Is that?
of the Mayor of the City of New York.
You see, his arm is stuck in the position now. He can't get it down. You put it up, and now it won't come down. It's just stuck there. Oh, he managed to unfreeze it. Politics is just too much, man. Too freaking much. Is it true that he laid his hand on the Quran? It could be. There's another post. No, that's Benny Johnson again saying the same thing. Okay. Let me see. Here is this AOC? Yeah, I think this is AOC. Okay. What's she saying about it?
Zohran Mamdani will be the first Muslim mayor of our great city. He will be our first immigrant mayor in over a century. And he will be the youngest mayor of New York City in generations. But most importantly, Zohran will be a mayor for all of us. With that.
Okay, so let me just state unequivocally, okay, I don't think Zohran Mamdani is a Nazi. And I don't think he did a Nazi salute. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it, at least today. I don't think he's a Nazi. That's just what I think. And what does this really highlight for me? What does it really mean? It means that there's going to be a lot of fighting ahead, a lot of division, because while people on the MAGA side have been, I think, deluding themselves, thinking that they have, all the people around Trump, the people in the Trump camp, people who think that the rise of the right is in some way definitive, that it signals, the beginning of a new future. It does, but not in the way I think that they're thinking. This does not hearken in a new golden age of Christianity or traditional values or conservatism, because Trump's not a conservative, not even close. No, this ushers in a new age of conflict. Guaranteed. because you now have two very entrenched political opponents, two big camps squaring off, and they're going to fight. And not only are they going to fight domestically in the United States and in Canada, along the battle lines of the culture wars and political ideology and economic policies and things of that nature, and who can be a better authoritarian. There's the global conflict that is inevitable because of the ideology driving all of it. This neo-Eurasianism, this push toward carving the world up into spheres of influence and or dominance. Basically, carving it up for a few elite dictators at the top who are going to share the wealth with their oligarch friends, the people that they support so that they can support them back, the rich people. And I'll give you a little taste of what life is like in that world a little later in the broadcast. So don't go away. We have a lot more to share with you on the other side of this.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
Okay, we're back, and I need just a moment to let my computer catch up here. We're getting really bogged down. Something is not good here in the Maverick temporary studio. But we're still live. We're still rocking and rolling. Everything's just lagging a lot here. Let me see if I can get rid of a couple of things to free up some memory on this old computer so that we can continue the broadcast. Here we go. That should help a little bit. All right. So what else we got going on? How about that oil tanker? So you know that we have this massive buildup of armaments off the coast of Venezuela that have been blowing up the alleged narco terror boats, the drug dealers that they say are trying to transport all these drugs to the US of A in these small speedboats. I don't know how they expect to get from Venezuela to the United States because it's like way too far to reach with the amount of lots of lag. It says not only me. Okay, I don't know if it's my system or whatever it is. It ain't cool anyway. So we'll make the best of it tonight. So where was I? Yeah, so of course, the U.S. has sanctioned Venezuelan oil. They are pursuing these oil tankers that are transporting Venezuelan oil. But now there's a new development in this because Russia has formally requested, or some are saying demand, that the United States end the pursuit of a renamed tanker. I guess it was originally I think it was the Marinera Ahmed. Anyway, it's called the Bella One now, I think, and apparently it's flying a Russian flag. Not cool. This escalates things. This throws a new twist into the whole thing. The United States is disputing the claim. They're saying the Bella One was stateless when first intercepted and remains subject to sanctions and the enforcement by the United States tied to Iranian oil shipments bound for Venezuela. So this is this one here. This one. This is a fly in the ointment. Got a little video here. We'll show you. And music. So it's kind of a propaganda thing. And I don't know, whatever. I don't think so. So how much is that video worth? Probably not much, if any. Probably zero. I don't know. It's just, that's the thing. You can't tell what's real, what isn't. But I do know, because these are the reports coming in from many, many media outlets with credibility tonight, conveying this information. Here's the Seattle Times picking up on the story. I'll show you the headline. So regardless of the propaganda that's out there and the propaganda videos to support it, which may or may not even be of the actual ship. Here's the headline. Russia asks U.S. to stop pursuit of fleeing oil tanker. Well, we'll find out how close Putin and Trump are, after all, I guess. Will they do it? This is an image provided by the Department of Homeland Security. A U.S. military helicopter flies over the Panama-flagged Centuries, which was intercepted on Saturday, December 20th, east of Barbados. So that's not the ship. It's a ship. It's not the ship. And what else have they got in there? So, government of Russia has made a formal diplomatic request to the United States to stop its pursuit of an oil tanker that had been sailing for Venezuela, is now fleeing the Coast Guard in the Atlantic Ocean. And again, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. And there's, oh, look at that. Elvis paintings. That we're going to come back to that. That's popping up because the algorithm thinks I'm a big Elvis fan. Which in a way I am, but not really. Kind of, a little bit. The king, the old king. We'll talk about the new king later. Okay. So there's all that. Now, more lagging and freezing on the computer. See if we can get things caught up here. Now, speaking of media, here we are in 2026, and confidence, trust in media is at an all-time low. And over at CBS, I just took note that they have this new anchor. Oh, okay. He's got this name that I'm having trouble pronouncing. I practiced it beforehand so I wouldn't look like someone who didn't know what I was talking about. But he says this. He says his name in this address, Daukupil. Anyway, I can't. Tony. We'll call him Tony, the CBS news anchor, the new guy. Sitting in Walter Cronkite's chair. I mean, that's the guy that I remember best, sitting in the CBS evening news chair. Who, during his career, he was, I would say, probably the most trusted man in America at the time. Maybe even since. Where is Walter Cronkite when you need him? Well, this guy, I think, is trying to fill that role. He's obviously very credible. Oh, hang on a second here. More texts coming in. We're going kind of informal here tonight with my presentation. Stuff coming in. Okay, I'll come back to that. Bunch of people texting me. So, yes, I want to play this for you because he is saying that he doesn't want you to just trust him. He wants to earn it. And he's using language that a lot of people use. And it's just food for thought. Can this guy restore faith in CBS News among those who have lost trust? I think we need these institutions back because media, especially mainstream media, has always been seen as, and I think it has formed in Western society, a cornerstone of the foundation of democracy and freedom. And without that trust, everything starts to deteriorate, fall apart. So let's listen to the new guy, and you can make an assessment. I'm going to look in the chat and see what you guys say about this. And it raises that very large question that we explore here from time to time, like every day. What is truth?
A lot has changed since the first person sat in this chair, but for me, the biggest difference is people do not trust us like they used to. And it's not just us, it's all of legacy media. And I get it. I get it because I've been hearing about it from just about everybody for more than 20 years as I've traveled America on this assignment or that. My mom's neighbors in West Virginia, my own neighbors in New York City, thousands and thousands of conversations in between. Sometimes people want to talk to me about our coverage of NAFTA or the Iraq War. Other times it's all about Hillary Clinton's emails or Russiagate. Or more recently, COVID lockdowns, Hunter Biden's laptop, or the president's fitness for office. The point is, on too many stories, the press has missed the story because we've taken into account the perspective of advocates and not the average American. Or we put too much weight in the analysis of academics or elites and not enough on you. And I know this because at certain points, I have been you. I have felt this way too. I felt like what I was seeing and hearing on the news didn't reflect what I was seeing and hearing in my own life, and that the most urgent questions simply weren't being asked. So here's my promise to you today and every time you see me in this chair. You come first, not advertisers, not politicians, not corporate interests. And yes, that does include the corporate owners of CBS. I report for you, which means I tell you what I know, when I know it, and how I know it. And when I get it wrong, I'll tell you that too. It also means I'm going to talk to everybody and hold everyone in public life to the very same standard. After all, I became a journalist to talk to people. I love talking to people about what works in this country, what doesn't, and not only what should change, but the good ideas that should never change. I think telling the truth is one of them. I'm Tony DeCopel, the anchor of the CBS Evening News. Hold me to it.
What do you guys think? Are you buying it? Tony DeCopel. I'll call him Tony so that I don't mess up his name again. I'll learn it. He'll be there for a while, I expect. How long? I don't know if he's going against, if he ends up at odds with the corporate interests of CBS. Good luck. Pretty tough. Hopefully his interests, for the sake of his career, align with the interests of the corporate owners of CBS. But I've been there. I've been there. That's a tightrope to walk. What are you saying in the chat? Anybody buying this? Let's see here. Dragon says he's going in hot water. Maybe. Be Lovely says time will tell for Tony. That's right. CBS won't keep him if he'll tell the truth, says Tarface. Lindy says agree with Linda 08. Who says, and he won't have a job for long. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Oh, it's tough, man. And you know, those anchors, those network anchors, they are well paid. So there's a lot of incentive to just toe the line, right? Time's up for Tony, says 1272B51. Whoever the hell that is. Oh, so many people hiding behind these weird names and masks. Are they because they're afraid or because they have something to hide, an agenda maybe? I don't know. Anyway, we'll just hope that 1272B51 is well-intentioned and a good person. As we always do here, everybody is innocent until they show us that they're guilty in the chat. Linda, no, Rick, still no trust in them. Okay. And Belovely Bingo. And Belovely says, money, money, money. Yeah, a lot of money. I'm going to look it up, see if I can find out Tony's salary. I bet she makes over $1 million a year. What would you do for $1 million? $1 million dineros in Canadian funds, even, which is worth about $29.95 US. Oh my God, this is awful. This is awful. This is awful. I'll show you that in a minute. It's bad news on day one of 2026 and violence. Okay, here, hang on. I'll save that tab because I didn't expect to see that. Now you're like, what the hell is he looking at? You just wait and see. Looking up the salary for Tony. See if we get an answer back. I'm talking to Grok. Mr. Grok. Tony DeCopel. I spelled his name wrong. I'm butchering his name both verbally and by typing it out. So not his CBS has not publicly disclosed his exact salary for this role. They keep their anchor contracts private. But he earned a more modest salary compared to his CBS Mornings co-host Gayle King and Nate Burleson. I don't watch much CBS. And budget constraints played a role in choosing an internal promotion over external hires. Oh, so he's a discount news anchor. Older estimates suggested his annual salary as a CBS Mornings co-anchor was in the $2 million range. Oh, see, I see. This is why I am not rich, because I always come in too low. Like CBS called me and they said, Rick, we need you, man. We need you. And I said, no, I'm not taking the money. I'm not going to work for you guys. I'm sorry. They said, we'll give you 500,000. I said, no, I need at least $1 million. And they, anyway, you know how it went. And I said, no, it doesn't matter. They went all the way up to their average, what's it to net worth figures around 5 to 6 million. I said, yeah, I want 6 million. And they said, okay. And I said, no, I changed my mind. I'm going to keep my ethics. No confirmed figures exist for his new evening news contract. He might be doing it for free. Like Donald Trump is being president for free. Evening news anchor salaries at major news networks vary widely. Yes, that's true. But CBS Evening News has trailed in ratings. Yes, because Walter Cronkite isn't there anymore, which may influence compensation. If new details emerge, they'll likely come from industry reports rather than official announcements. Yes. I guarantee you he's making pretty good bucks. I bet you he makes more in a year than I made during my entire career at CTV. If for no other reason than I was paid in Canadian funds. There goes the pension plan right out the window. I mean, my plan to use the plan, which, well, we'll come back to that too, because we're going to be talking about Christmas credit and how much people have been spending over the holidays here. But tonight, this was outside of Capital One Bank in downtown Portland, New Year's Eve. So what's the caption here? I'm going to show you the video. It says far-left activists linked to Antifa gathered outside of Capital One Bank in downtown Portland, New Year's Eve for a direct action protest. Some masked, others dressed in black, and all ready to make a statement. Then it got messy. A man approached the group, exchanged words, and suddenly threw a punch straight into a protester's face. Nice. Happy New Year. Police showed up after the violence, arresting both the man who swung first and one protester described as violent. No word yet on charges or why this protest targeted a bank in particular. Once again, Portland lives up to its reputation as a flashpoint where street politics, chaos, and selective enforcement collide. This is a Mario Knopfel post. Not my words, his. When street violence becomes normalized, no matter who throws the first punch, the line between protest and brawl gets blurrier by the day. And this is actually, I think, an Andy No video, potentially. I think it is. Who is on the MAGA side, pretty much, I think. And so, as I used to think of like people like Andy No as like solid journalists, but I'm seeing bias. And so I'm not dismissing them at all. And certainly not Andy No, because I think he does have a lot of credibility. But even there, I've learned to just step back for a moment, take a deep breath, take it all in with a grain of salt, analyze and question. Because video can be edited and distorted just in the way that certain portions of video are selectively presented. So this clip is only 47 seconds long. My question, as always, is what came before, what came after? We know how police have responded. Both these dudes got into trouble, or at least this student, some other dude related to this. Let's just watch. Happy New Year.
Get him, boys! Hell yeah! Get him, boys! Get him, boys! Get the fuck out of here! Please, get him!
The music on this clip. It's dramatic, not necessarily.
One person to 10, second person to 10. Give us some space, man. All right. Give us space. Are you just trying to get through? That's what I saw.
Yeah, see, if it's just straight up news, you don't really add music usually. I have in the past from time to time, but you try to do it in a way that doesn't alter context or perspective. More production goes into documentaries and produced series, but I don't know, straight up news coverage, I prefer to see it just raw so that it doesn't alter your perception of it. I don't really like it when they put music and stuff on it. It's, even with the war propaganda films. I don't know what this is. I'm going to run it anyway because as I'm going through Twitter from the Mario Knopfel account, it goes from one thing to another. And this is again on the other side. This is Rudy Giuliani at last night's big Trump shindig for New Year's, which was attended by some very wealthy people. And we're going to come back to it. But here's Rudy. And I guess something went wrong here. I think he ended up pointing the camera at himself while he was trying to shoot the event.
I am now live, it says, and you see me. However, what I'd like to do now is I'd like to show you some of the very nice parts. It's such an honor to be with the GOAT, the greatest president of all time.
And here's a nice shot of my drink on New Year's Eve. Maybe it was what was in the drink that was making it difficult for him to flip the camera in the right direction. Just saying. Could be his age. He's getting up there. He's getting up there. So is Trump. So there's this Wall Street Journal article out tonight, I guess, drawing attention to his, but to health concerns because Trump is aging. We were talking about it with Mike last night. And this is where the thumbnail came from today. That's why I came up with Drowsy Donnie. I think it's something that might stick, actually. Drowsy Donnie. Just remember, when other people start using it, you heard it here first. And I want royalties for coining the phrase, okay? So you tell those other streamers if they use Drowsy Donnie, they owe me 2 cents for each time it's said or posted. And then we can fund the news operation here with the royalties. I'm going to register a copyright on that. Right. Well, maybe then we could make money like the new CBS News anchor. So here it is. Trump blames bruised hand on aspirin and denies falling asleep. U.S. President Trump blamed aspirin for large bruises on his hand and denied falling asleep while attending public meetings in an interview with the Wall Street Journal published today. So in the interview, defending his health, Trump also changed his previous statement about receiving an MRI scan in October, saying it was instead a quicker CT scan. He's 79, oldest person to assume the U.S. presidency. And he told the Journal, "My health is perfect," and expressed frustration with scrutiny of his well-being, based much of his political image on projecting vigor, whether through his frequent interactions with journalists, constant social media posting, or AI memes, depicting him as a superhero. Yeah, that's a very kind of communist sort of thing to do, from authoritarian regimes where they have these leaders who are portrayed as, basically deities, like godlike figures, infallible. They need to do that because when you get into a position where you're making all or even most of all the decisions without oversight or pushback from any other level of government or even people around you, because they're all afraid that if they disagree with you, you'll be shipped off to a gulag in El Salvador with the illegal immigrants, you just say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think we've seen even influencers just the last couple of weeks even saying, I think even Alex Jones came out with this and said that that's Trump's Achilles heel. I'm paraphrasing right now, but he says that he's surrounded by yes people. Why do you think that might be? The Trump guillotine might just fall in close proximity to one's neck should you say something inappropriate. Bruising and blinking. Yeah, he says, he explained that bruising on his hand is the result of aspirin that because he takes daily to thin his blood. I don't want thick blood pouring through my heart, he told the Journal. We need Dragon on here, Ian, to do his Montreal French Donald Trump for us to say these things, these quotes from the man. He said he applies makeup or bandages when his hand is whacked. And he says, so with regard to the sleepy portion of it, he says, he's pushed back on any idea that he falls asleep in public. He says, I've never been a big sleeper. And it says instances where he appears to be dozing off are just moments of relaxation, he said. Yeah, sleeping is relaxing. He says, quote, I'll just close. It's very relaxing to me, he said. Sometimes they'll take a picture of me blinking, and they'll catch me with the blink. So just remember that Donald Trump doesn't doze off. He just blinks. Well, I didn't blink and I caught it. I've seen him dozing off. Heck, man, I'm not as old as him and I get tired as soon as I wake up. I woke up this morning I'll share. Why not? It's the new year. I don't have a New Year's resolution per se. Maybe I'll have one at the end of the program, but I will disclose that being an old guy, I woke up over there in my mom's basement and I thought, wow, I had a really good sleep. I feel really good. Yeah. And then the dog came and jumped on me and insisted that we go outside. But before I could get up, I was like, oh, no, I'm still too tired. That was at about 6 a.m. this morning. So I don't know how Trump does it, honestly. I do have to give him credit. I have to give Biden credit. I have to give all these old guys credit because they're old. They're really old and they fly around on this jet. I assume they have a bed or something on Air Force One. I think they do. So he can, he's got an office and he can lounge and spread out and do all his presidential Donald J. Trump stuff, in some degree of privacy and catch a little shut eye where he needs to if he's not up in the cockpit flying the plane like a superhero, like Tom Cruise. But man, I don't know how they do it because the grueling schedule, flying all over the world, meeting after meeting after meeting. No wonder he skips his security briefings. I mean, I know he's clairvoyant, so he doesn't need them, but I totally understand that he needs his rest. So it's an interesting thing. It's do you know why they have old guys as president? At least this is what I was told when I was going through college, university, even high school. I think, my social sciences teachers may have mentioned this as well. The reason they have old guys as president is because it's safer, because you don't want some young whippersnapper in there jacked up on too much testosterone, because they're more inclined to get aggressive and lose their heads and push the big red button. So they want somebody in there older, who's a little more level-headed, a little calmer, and maybe not out chasing people of the opposite sex too much. Oops, too much, too late. That was happening previously, so it's not looking good for DJT on that front. Because Epstein, that's coming back to haunt him in the new year. But you know what? This was one heck of a party last night at the Trump house. Big New Year's shindig. We're going to come back to that. So that's coming up. And there's some funny stuff surrounding that too. Weird stuff too, I would say. And it's a learning moment. I think not a revealing moment for the entire MAGA movement. What happened there last night? So I'll show you that. This whole Zelensky, Ukraine, fake drone thing, Russia. The Russians are not letting go of it. It seems to be getting some traction. Some people actually believing that the Ukrainians launched this drone attack to assassinate Putin by targeting one of Putin's residences. So here today is video. I don't know how this proves anything, but the caption on this one is: the Russian military hands over irrefutable data recovered from Kyiv's strike drones to U.S. military representatives in Moscow. It conclusively proves Zelensky's dictatorship tried to kill President Putin in Novgorod. This won't end well for Zelensky. So let's bring up the post on X. This is actually from RT, Russia Today. And Che bows. Those were his words teeing up this video. So here's, I guess, the meeting between the Russian military and U.S. officials as they hand over this irrefutable evidence. So they say. Let's take a look, see what's said. There it is.
Я начальник Главного разведного управления Генерального штаба Вооруженных сил Российской Федерации адмирал Костюк.
Russian Federation,
Я
Admiral,
пригласил вас
whatever. I invited you on an important matter. I'd like to inform you. We found the wreckage of the drones that carried out this attack. A number of these unmanned aerial vehicles have well-preserved navigation systems. They're technically sound. The decryption of the memory, contents of the navigation, controllers of the unmanned aerial vehicles performed by specialists from the Russian Federation's security services is unequivocally confirmed that the target of the attack was the complex of buildings housing the Russian president's residence in the Novgorod region. We would like to provide you with a controller and a description of this controller made by our specialists. We believe that will resolve all questions and will contribute to establishing the truth. And there's the evidence. And he places it in some sort of a box thing, whatever. So that's in possession of the U.S. However, despite that, I've seen statements from the U.S. government today saying they have concluded that Ukraine didn't do it. And the post that I just showed you, I think sort of sums up what it's really all about. It's right. Oops, that's not the right one. Bring it back. Look at what is said in the caption. This is where they're going with it, folks. It's the other way around. This is the other way around. Like so much of what we are subjected to through the information war. It says right here, this won't end well for Zelensky. See, that's what it's about. They've talked about this from the beginning of the full-scale invasion, about taking out Zelensky. The influencers have talked about it. They've ramped this thing up. And this now becomes justification for assassinating Volodymyr Zelensky. Oh, yeah. So we'll see if that happens. Don't be surprised. Just saying.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
All right. Don't just take what I'm saying on this. I'll give you a different perspective on it. Here's Colonel Daniel Davis over on Mario Knopfel talking about this alleged assassination attempt on, I don't know, assassination. I guess that's still a proper term. You know, I think, you know, strictly from the rules of engagement when it comes to the laws or the rules of war internationally, both of these guys would be legitimate targets as long as the strikes were carried out in a proper way, because they're both heads of their respective militaries, Zelensky and Putin. So when they can target each other's leaders, that's why even, generals are technically legitimate targets. Now, Russia's saying that these sorts of attacks are acts of terrorism because they have been very careful in the words they choose, saying that this is not a war, that it's a special military operation, you see. And so by keeping it in that context, it changes the rules of engagement. It changes the rules of war and gives Russia more latitude, because it gives Russia more latitude in the way that they can deal with Ukraine, because they're basically saying they're a terrorist organization, you see. Because they don't really recognize Ukraine as a sovereign nation at all. So that's how they're framing it. Here's, as I say, here's the Colonel on Mario Knopfel talking about exactly this. And I think, well, I'll just let it roll.
Same time that Zelensky was meeting Trump, Ukraine denied those claims. Russia doubled down. Then Putin mentioned it to Trump on a call. And now we've got a report by the CIA saying that these drones were actually targeting a military base, a Russian military base in that same region. And that this is not the first time Ukraine targets that base. So the CIA claims that Russia's lying. Ukraine claims that Russia's lying. Where do you stand on this?
Yeah, and just add to that, you have the Russians claiming that they took some of the targeting data from some of the drones they shot down to confirm that that's where they were heading toward the Russia's residents. The bottom line is no one can say with any authority what it is, because every side in this war will not hesitate to use disinformation or misinformation or outright lie to make themselves look good or to justify some other thing that they're going to do. There is reason to suggest that the Ukraine side could have done this and that they were trying to maybe expand this and to draw the U.S. in. There's evidence that, and there's motivation that the Russian side could have claimed that this was done to give more justification for their side. Bottom line is, I don't know. What matters is what each side is doing with this. That you have the Ukrainian side trying to cast all the blame on the Russians and then providing, quote, yet more evidence that they are the impediment to peace, that they're not trying to get to this. And then the Russians are using that as to their advantage in their population, which is creating more outrage that how dare they actually target our president. Again, whether it's true or not, that's almost irrelevant. What is very much relevant is what the Russians are doing with this information, which is bolstering the support on their side for this. And then they have claimed, Lavrov specifically, that there would be a retaliation for this. So we're still waiting to see what that's going to mean, because it can mean any number of things. But Russia is going to use that allegation to justify something that's coming up in here. And all of this boils down to the bottom line, that the military reality on the ground continues to go dramatically against the Ukraine side. And when we love to say that Russia is the impediment to peace, what that means, Mario, is that they're an impediment to the peace of our definition, meaning something that's acceptable to Kiev and that's tolerable to Kiev, not anything that's even remotely close to what is required and demanded by the Russian side. And when one side has the ability to compel compliance on the other and this side doesn't, that's the only thing that's going to matter in this. Who can do what and who can't do what. And right now, Russians can continue to move forward to the West, can continue to destroy the Ukrainian armed forces. And either we accept this ugly deal that's on the table now, or there won't be a deal. And evidence suggests from what Putin has said just in the last 5 or 6 days that they may have already reached that point. They may have just flat out calculated, we're going to take on the battlefield what we need, and then we'll figure it out later.
I think that his point that, what really matters here is what each side is doing with this information. And you can see what the Russians are doing. Not going to end well for Zelensky. We're going to escalate. Ukrainians are like, we didn't do it. And they would know that this would be the kind of response that would be likely. At the same time, I mean, I don't know. What would be the benefit? You also have to ask yourself, who would really win? Who wins from this? If say, for the sake of argument, Ukraine did target Putin and did kill him, what would Russia do? What do you think? What advantage would Ukraine gain from doing that? It seems to me the response from Russia would be to throw everything plus the kitchen sink at the conflict and escalate in a really major way. Is that what Ukraine wants right now? I don't get the sense that they want that. I don't see how Ukraine would benefit from even doing it. So just from that perspective, I find it hard to believe. And then the evidence. We showed you the one video yesterday. How serious that is, I don't know, but some people are believing it. It looked like looked like a cheesy 1950s sci-fi Mars flick. Maybe I can find it here again. It was hilarious. Just hilarious. You can draw your own conclusions. Who the hell really knows? I haven't seen anything that indicates to me that that alleged drone strike was even real. Even the numbers coming out accounting from the Russian side, accounting for the number of drones that came into their territory and were shot down, they didn't add up, not even close. From what came from the Kremlin and then came from the military, the number shot down. And yeah, and there's evidence to suggest that it wasn't real. Anyway, whatever. See if I can find that video. It's just hilarious. Here it is right here. Didn't take much. And look, man, if you think that this is like, I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. Because here's a pro-Russia, pro-China, anti-US, I would say, account on X tonight. The post says the drones that will cause Zelensky's downfall. Sources claim this footage is from the strike that targeted Putin's residence. Okay. Let's watch it again. It's so fake. So you could look at that in a couple of different ways. You could say, well, you could say that account on X is you could say that's actually the CIA pretending to be a Russian account or a Chinese account supporting Russia in order to cast shade on the whole thing. I don't know, man. We're in the fog of war, and the first casualty of the information war is truth. That is for sure. So who the hell knows? I just know that video is absolutely freaking fake. And if anybody out there is believing it, and I know a lot of people are, then, we're in a lot of trouble. And we are that because people, they literally don't know what the truth is anymore. New CBS News anchor tonight. I'm dedicated to the truth. What the hell is the truth? His truth, your truth, whatever the truth is. I mean, I'm dedicated to bringing you closer to the truth. I never tell you that I'm telling you the absolute truth. I will say, and that's the truth, but I always preface everything. This whole program is prefaced with the concept that we're going to get you closer to the truth. And we know too, right? It's a fact. More than one thing can be true at the same time. And so it depends on your perspective on things. When someone says one thing at an event and somebody says something else, maybe both people are telling the truth, even though the narrative around it might be conflicting. supporting one side or another politically. Both sides can actually be truthful. There could be violence, but at the same time, a block over, it might be peaceful. Depends on your perspective. Where were you? What did you see at the time? Were these people, look at all these peaceful protesters over here. They're all, they're all here for, to defend democracy. When over here, half a block over, people protesting for the same thing, but they're violent and you're just not seeing them. Meanwhile, somebody gets assaulted over there and reports it and says, I got assaulted. And then they show you the video of the peaceful people over there. And they say, no, see, it was a totally peaceful protester. That guy's lying. Now, that's the lie. Because everybody's looking for black and white answers on these things. And rarely is life or even a news story black and white. That's why when people say, and I hear other media outlets saying they're going to tell you the other side of the story. Well, what do you mean the other side? A story has many sides. So when I learned that before, I graduated J school. So as I'm practicing journalism all through my career, it was never my objective to just provide a voice or a platform for, perspective from two sides, because I always knew that there were many sides to a story, or could be. And so even within the short time period allotted for any story that I ever did for, say, television or print or radio, I would try to talk to all of the stakeholders, all of the people affected. What we're seeing right here, right now, with that drone footage and the rhetoric coming out of Russia, and I don't even know, can we believe anything the CIA says? Probably not. They might tell you some truth, but they've got their own agenda too. So they're going to focus on the information and the data or whatever that just supports their position. And they'll ignore stuff that is harmful. So just keep it all in mind, keep it in perspective, and just remember that even after you consume all of the information, a portion of it is probably not truthful and not being conveyed to you in somebody who's being truly transparent and honest. They're giving you selective information. At the end of it all, you're still going to end up with something distorted. So I wouldn't get too embedded and too married to any particular idea, ideology, or certainly any politician, because they're self-serving. That's the phrase that one of my journalism professors used to describe politicians consistently: self-serving. They're largely self-serving. Because once they get in there, they get addicted to their paychecks. You know what I'm saying? Addicted to their paychecks. Stay with me.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
What can I say? Everything's deteriorating on the MAGA side. We talked about this last night too, and I've mentioned it before. America Fest, division, right out in the open. Steve Bannon attacking Ben Shapiro. Then a whole bunch of people came and attacked him, and then and you're seeing actually people who have been supportive of Trump in the Trump camp coming out and criticizing him because of, some of the stuff he's saying on social media that's kind of weird, very negative, a lot of it. But to the point now, because of what he said about Rob Reiner, even Joe Rogan has come out and he's ripping Trump because of his crazy rant, as it's been put, after Rob Reiner's murder. This is from a conservative newspaper in Canada, Toronto Sun. Joe Rogan sounding off on U.S. President Donald Trump's callous remarks following the death of Rob Reiner. Yeah, they've got the clip here queued up. We'll play for you. The celebrated filmmaker and his wife, Michelle, murdered, of course, in their home earlier this month. And then Trump posted that strange response. Highly critical of Rob Reiner. You know, Trump hates him because Rob Reiner didn't like Trump and consistently, you know, came after him. Let's listen.
On Truth Social after the murder of Rob Reiner. Do you stand by that post?
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. You know, it was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career-wise. He became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all, in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country. Yeah.
Well, the social media post was more toxic than that. I'm not going to run the Joe Rogan clip, actually, because every time we do, we get nailed with the copyright strike because he has everything copyrighted on X. But he did post. I'll bring it up here. No, I won't, because too much. Hang on. Not yet. We won't. Okay, pause that because there's audio playing through, but I'll show you the post on X from Rogan. Joe Rogan on Donald Trump. The Rob Reiner thing is not funny. There's no justification for what he did in compassionate society. Imagine if Obama tweeted something about someone after they died in this way. So, yeah, again, not going to run the clip, but you've got the idea. It's just Trump's coating of Teflon. It has scratches in it, and some stuff is starting to stick. After a while, you behave like that, and it catches up with you. You can only get away with acting like a dick so long. You know, people thought it was funny and even refreshing because it was like, he's not taking any guff from anybody. It's refreshing to hear someone talk like that. But it's gone way too far. It's gone on too long. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of it. I don't find it amusing. There was some amusement that came from the way he would just attack people and not give an inch and not bend the knee, not apologize. We talked about that the other night, unapologetic. And so there was a degree of refreshing. Well, it was refreshing for some people, right? And then people found it funny. But he is the president now, and he owes it to the people and the world, I think, to behave with a little bit of class. And that's not what we're getting. Look at the presidential walk of fame and the plaques that he put up that I guess he wrote himself. And it's just insulting. All these other presidents are taking claim for any achievements, anybody. Like it was just juvenile. It's just, yeah, I am really, 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 really tired of it because it doesn't serve the people very well. And it doesn't bring people together. We're just getting more and more division. Like I said, guaranteed more division in 2026. It's a coming. And it's just getting worse and worse. So I'm just looking at other video. Here's this other video. Yeah, come on, man. Come on. Look, this is RT posting that this is actual footage again of a attempted drone strike on Putin's residence. Does this look freaking real to you? This was from a long time ago. This was from back in May of 2023. And I have to admit, I bought into it. But that was, earliest days of AI, even beforehand. Anyway, as I'm looking at this now, this whole thing to me, very suspect. This is an old one. They got a lot of traction with this back then. But you look at it. Does that look real to you? Given the, people are a little bit more social media savvy now and AI savvy because we've been subjected to so much of it. Is that real? I'm looking at the flag waving, and then the drone comes in and it blows up, is blown up, and it's very close. It pierced the flag. What's the flag do? Can I slow this down? Let's do that. Take it down to half speed. Gonna look in the chat. What do you guys think? This is an old one. This is not the current one. Just looking for a comment in there. Anybody think that's real, fake? Probably take a little time for the guys in the chat to catch up here. About 30 to 60 seconds. Fake, says Lindy. I think it looks fake too. Looks very fake to me. Tarface says, I think real. Arthur says, watch the flames. I can play it again. Yeah, fake, says Jubilee. I think it looks fake. Information war is, as important as the kinetic war on the ground. Okay, let's take it down even slower. Take it down to quarter speed. Here we go. Drone should enter now. There it is. Right there. It looks like it's going through mist or a cloud. Okay. Maybe. That could be the way that if on a video editing timeline, if they put that, if that's an overlay to create the image of a cloud or mist in the air, which is very well framed by the framing that what looks like the moon. I guess it's supposed to be the moon in the background. If it's on the timeline below, then the drone would fly under it, and it would have to be semi-transparent, taken out with a chroma key tool. And there it is. It looks like it's getting very close. It's hard to judge the perspective. But, I don't know how big that drone would be. It's hard to gauge actual size because there's nothing, you don't know the size of the drone to begin with. And there's the explosion. Let's back it up just a little bit. I don't see any missiles or anything. No, nothing, no indication of shots being fired at it, but it bursts into flames. That's one hell of an explosion. Look at the light signature from that. Now, if this is security camera footage with that amount of light against that black background, depending on the camera, I would think that the auto exposure would probably get blown right out as soon as that fireball hits, because it's so bright right at the center. Like, that is 100% video level plus, because it's already exposed to night footage. Color balance, I'm not sure. I don't know what the color signature from that explosion would be. Okay. And then goes back in smaller. And a lot of smoke from a drone. And looks like wreckage falling. For that kind of explosion from a object of that size, I would think it would be blown into a million tiny bits. But that looks like some very large piece of wreckage falling on or behind the roof. Maybe behind. And the smoke up in the air, but it doesn't seem to follow the wreckage down to the ground. Don't know. The whole thing looks highly suspect to me. And just technically from like the video end of it, I don't know. It got traction, that story, for about 2 days at that time. I remember it. And then it kind of faded away. Julie says, it blew up real good. Yeah, that's because you are clearly Canadian and used to watch SCTV. John Candy. And was it Joe Flaherty? Yeah, I think the two of them. Blew it up real good. Bolsheviks are still kicking it, Lindy Biggs says, be lovely, but it's casting the flames on the roof, says Arthur Clark. And Shades and Tarface says, I think this one is real, but the latest is fake. Yeah, well, you know, the whole objective here, if nothing else, is to disrupt and leave people, you know, doubting things, casting doubt. That's really what it's about. And then they can just use that as justification to go ahead with public sympathy and support to do what they want to do. And in this case, I think it's pretty clear they would really like to take out Zelensky and do it in a way that won't hurt them in the court of public opinion, so that they can say, well, they tried to do, they did it to Putin first. And if you look at, that's also the playbook that has been employed here from the very beginning. Everything Russia has done, they claim that it is some response to something, that they were wronged in some way all the way down the line, so that they had to then invade the country. And while I understand even this argument about NATO expansion and the concerns that Russia has in that regard, and I think that those are real concerns, and I understand it, even people like Roger Waters, who came out right from the very beginning. You know, he's a big time Russia supporter, but even he has said Russia has no business in Ukraine. It doesn't justify invading the country. You can be concerned about things, you might not like things, but at the end of the day, Ukraine is a sovereign nation, and invading another country, not justified. But they'll manufacture consent through the information war.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
So yeah, New Year 2026 and same old story, especially on the Ukraine file, because, well, here's the headline. Russia rings in New Year with mass drone strike on Ukraine. Putin says he's confident of victory. Keep hearing that, keep seeing that. Oh, we want peace. Another round of peace negotiations. And then when Zelensky meets with Trump, the attacks on Ukraine are ramped up by Russia. You get some response from the Ukrainian side. It just goes around and around in circles. More and more people die. Russia claims they are on the verge of victory. The Ukraine stands no chance. Some people buy it, some people don't. Those who do, many of them on the Russian side to begin with, and they buy into the idea that the defeat of Ukraine is imminent, and then it drags on even further. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, somewhere. Exactly where? I'd say that from the track record we've seen, I don't think the conflict is going to end anytime soon. I'm pretty confident of it. And these claims of Russia just overrunning Ukraine, not buying that either. I think Russia is suffering economically. I think Ukraine is struggling. So I think, again, all these things are true at the same time. But the end result, ongoing conflict, maybe not quite a stalemate, or maybe it is a stalemate, because even if Russia is gaining ground within Ukraine, you still see Ukraine now striking targets right inside Russia, even without full U.S. support because of Donald Trump. And that is not Russia winning. It is a war of attrition, not just of people, but also resources, finances. And then the rhetoric and the New Year's Eve addresses from Zelensky and Putin. I'm not going to play them tonight because it's just more of the same. And it's a new day. So close that one off and move on a little bit on this 2026, January 1st. Trade wars continuing. Trump targets his allies, but he's backing off a bit. He's backed off on tariffs on furniture and kitchen cabinets and things of that nature. So it's been at 25%. It was supposed to get ramped up, but oops, they're pulling back. So they were supposed to take effect higher rates today, but now they're delayed for a whole other year. Gee, why would they do that? Yeah, because it contributes immensely to inflation, the cost of living, and to the cost of purchasing a new house and furnishing it. And the American people are the people who end up paying for it in terms of higher prices, less selection of goods, less competition. And, you know, I've said this before. You know, the real reason countries, well, maybe not entirely in the case of Trump, because he uses them for geopolitical purposes and to apply political pressure on ideological level on his allies. Like, you will not be a liberal. You will not be a communist. You will not be this. You will not be that. You will be what I tell you to be, or I am going to tariff you to death. But the real reason countries use tariffs is because they can't compete. That's why. So they protect industries. And Trump is protecting all of the United States with tariffs because the U.S. economy right now, I don't think, is competitive globally. Not entirely and that's not the fault of workers. That's not the fault, maybe even of the U.S. government entirely, but it's because of the massive U.S. debt that's out there. It's because of profit taking that has taken place in a wide range of industries in the U.S. Last night, we were talking with Mike about the F-35 contract in Canada and the way the tariffs are coming into play on that and whether Canada actually ends up buying those things. And he talked about something that a lot of people are not aware of, and that's that Canada is an aluminum producing powerhouse, a producer of quality aluminum, but also steel. And Trump has targeted both aluminum and steel. But why would he do that? It's because the U.S. steel and aluminum industries are not as competitive as the Canadian side. And why is that? I've pointed this out in the past, and I'd have to bring the numbers up because I don't have them off the top of my head. But on the U.S., when you look at the U.S. steel industry, one of the main reasons the U.S. steel industry is not competitive against, say, China and even Canada is because the owners of those companies, the big corporations, have not invested in those facilities in a long time, a lot of them. And in some cases, they're like a century old. And on the Canadian side, the companies have invested. And I think the government has supported a lot of that too, because they have upgraded a lot of those facilities and the energy they're using is being burned in a much more efficient way and in a much cleaner way. And as a result of using cleaner energy to produce steel, you're getting a purer product. And so on the US side, they're still using older technology, older facilities. It's difficult for them to compete. And that's because the companies engaged in a lot of profit taking over the years and didn't reinvest enough to upgrade the facilities. But the time has come. And that's why I think it's Japan that came in. And again, I have to review the information because it was probably 6 or 8 months ago when I got all the details. But, you've got foreign investment coming in to the U.S. in order to prop up those industries now and reinvest in those facilities and upgrade the technology so that they'll be competitive again, so they can produce product that is high quality, pure, because when you're producing steel, it has to be clean, pure. Same with aluminum, but that depends on how it's produced. And there's the truth. And so when you're using tariffs, it's usually to protect an industry, and you are therefore rewarding inefficiency. That's what you do. And when you do that, it's also a disincentive to the companies to reinvest in the companies. You end up hoping that they do so that they're competitive in the long run. But the result is Americans will end up buying more expensive steel because those U.S. companies won't be protected by those tariffs, and they can even put their prices up now, which will happen in order to generate more profit. And then that will make Canadian steel competitive again or closer to it. I've seen it in the auto industry, many industries over time, because if you're protected, you have more cushion on how much markup you can apply to your product. And that's borne out by not just economic theory, but real world evidence. So we'll see how it plays out. 2026 is going to be a roller coaster ride on the economy, that's for sure. Keep your eye on the steel and aluminum. And it's a big deal for Canada, too, because a lot of jobs up in the Hamilton area dependent so much on all of that. But it ain't over yet. We have also other New Year's stuff today on this January 1st. Just remember, Trump doesn't sleep, he blinks. This from last night, one of the world's largest fireworks launched over Japan. One massive blast of celebration. I'll show you. Pretty darn impressive. And then I'll show you what the Chinese are doing. Kaboom. Here it is.
World's biggest fireworks bomb launched over Nagaoka in Japan. World's
pretty cool. Happy New Year. Happy 2026. But the Chinese, they're very competitive on a lot of fronts. They've built up their economy in a major way. And that's because they were given more access to Western markets, and they embraced the idea, the concepts of capitalism, free markets, mercantilism, although supported very much by government intervention on their side too, in order to dominate a particular industries. But that's another story. But in many respects, I've said that the Chinese now are more free market than a lot of what we see here in Canada, and I think it's even in the U.S. on many fronts too. So this wasn't necessarily just for New Year's Eve, but they do this on a regular basis. They are turning the night sky into a light show with drones. And this is, I believe, the largest yet. This is a Guinness World Record here, where about over 11,000 synchronized drones paint the sky with these 3D animations. And they look almost like something you'd see on a computer screen, like from CGI. But in this case, the thing that makes it even more relevant to our discussion here tonight is, as we head into 2026 and concerns about AI and even excitement about artificial intelligence, that is what is piloting these drones. No human pilots, no delays, zero crashes, everything controlled by artificial intelligence and navigation provided through GPS. Very creative. Maybe even a little bit ominous. But impressive nonetheless. Let me bring this up. So this is from Euronews. They have the footage. You'll find it from a number of sources. Let's see if we can roll this. There we go. I'm going to pull the audio down. We don't want to get a copyright strike. Okay, and here, look at this. So just keep in mind, you don't have people with controllers. This is all done with artificial intelligence. That is what is piloting these drones. That's where we're going in 2026, folks. Well, we're already there. But just the other day, I talked about a fighter jet, F-6, I think F-16s from, was it F-16s? Pretty sure it was. I can't be 100% sure. I don't recall. But they're using AI to pilot fighter jets, which means the computer is running the whole show, baby. The whole thing. And so if they're dropping bombs, you better hope that AI makes the right decision, doesn't go berserk and make a mistake. I've been thinking about that overnight, you know. I can see like weird things happening in the future on the battlefield when you have the war of the drones going on, and when the computers maybe get confused, or maybe a computer virus or something, and they just go berserk and start doing really weird stuff and maybe even blowing each other up. Who knows? All kinds of weird things are possible. When was the last time your computer worked properly? If they built cars the way that they build computers, all the car companies would be out of business. I mean, half the time they don't start up. Once a month they choke on a virus. The operating systems shut down because they go obsolete. They get hacked into all the time. You think that these AI systems are infallible? Well, we just showed you in our exercise this past week with, you know, when we were talking about, you know, one of our Maverick family going through the exercise of developing a new governance system with the Google's Gemini sort of leading the way and kind of taken over at some point, and in the end, it created this dystopian society where people with the wrong points of view are going to be put in pods, isolation pods in prison and tortured. Sounds great. Not. Well, that's because and AI makes a lot of mistakes. I was just watching Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about truth and how people are using AI to do things just like we did here this past week. And this whole video, it might be worth going to check it out. I think it is. It was a good video because he says, for AI, it's only right about 80% of the time because as an astrophysicist, a scientist, he, in some cases, knows things with he knows all about something. And so when he goes to an AI system and asks questions, he's finding that on subject matter where he is an expert, these systems are only right about 85% of the time. And then there are grades of, how much error is built into it or is coming back out of it. And that's also largely because the systems are using information that has been inputted by humans. Their programming is coming from humans who do make mistakes, and there is bias in those things. And so if you have an AI system that is targeting real world targets with weapons, God help us all, because if they're wrong 15% of the time, we're in deep shit. Okay? So please, humans, don't do that. Politicians, people in the military industrial complex, please don't do that. Could we please not? Though they're going to do it. I don't know if 2026 will mark the end of humanity or how much time we have. I think some of it's overblown, but it's a real concern. It's a real thing. It's a real threat, especially, when I talk to Grok, and we do it here on the program, sometimes he still thinks Justin Trudeau is the prime minister. Sometimes he thinks, he, she, whatever, it thinks that Joe Biden is still the president. Sometimes it spits out that, let's do it. Tell me what to ask Grok. Let's just do a little chit chat with the Grok tonight. Let's rock with Grok. We like to do this a little bit from time to time. Okay. That's actually timely. There's a post that instantly came up on Twitter of Elon Musk's ex-wife. Let's listen to this as we tee up this this exercise and review of our future in technocracy and authoritarian rule by the tech bros. Here's his ex-wife. What she's saying. I don't know how old this is. Just for full context and transparency, it just came up. I'm just going to let her roll. Here we go.
I was married to a man who became extremely successful. And as I watched him rise, I noticed two things. He worked very hard, much harder than your average bear. And he said no a lot. He said no to people who wanted his time and attention and energy. He said no in a way that protected his resources so that he could channel them toward his own goals. And I realized that behind every no is a deeper yes to whatever it is that you do want. No is like a bright line that, when used properly, marks off where you end and others begin. Right? I
don't know what that means. Okay, well, thank you, Mrs. X Elon. Let's go to Grok. Hello, Grok. Hello, Grok. Well, hello, what's up? We should probably get some better voice than mine, but ready to dive into some cosmic questions, crack a joke, or just chat about whatever's on your mind. Yeah, see, Grok knows that I like to joke around with him. Let's start with that. Hey, Grok, let's rock with a joke. Make us laugh. You are live on Maverick News right now. So keep it clean and wholesome. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Grok live on Maverick News. This special New Year's, I had to do my computer voice. Live New Year's laugh for you on January 1st, 2026. Why don't skeletons ever start a fight? Because they don't have guts. Ha, ha, ha. Happy New Year, everybody. Stay wholesome, stay awesome, and keep smiling. That's pretty good. Anybody else want me to give me a suggestion? What do you want me to ask Grok tonight? I'm just waiting here. I'm going to ask him one more thing, then I'm going to come back to chat. You put your questions to Grok in here. Okay. Hey, Grok. Why do you screw up sometimes and say that Justin Trudeau is still the Prime Minister of Canada? I'd say Kazakhstan, but I'd confuse him. He wouldn't understand. You have done that several times with me. Why? He ain't the PM no more, dude. Hey, dude, first off, you're absolutely right. And I'm sorry for messing that up before. Sorry, I'm screwing up computer voice. I have to be Grok's voice for him. We have to get the speech tool on here so that we can do this with his voice. Hey, dude, first off, you're absolutely right. And I'm sorry for messing that up before. Justin Trudeau is not the Prime Minister anymore. He resigned in January 2025 amid a ton of political pressure and after a Liberal leadership race and a snap federal election in April 2025. Mark Carney, the former Bank of Canada and Bank of England governor, became Canada's 24th Prime Minister in March 2025. As of today, January 1st, 2026, Mark Carney is still the PM, leading a minority Liberal government. Why did I screw up sometimes? Honestly, it's because my knowledge gets updated continuously, but fast-moving political events like resignations, leadership changes, and elections can cause temporary lags or inconsistencies in what I pull up, especially if older info lingers in some responses. I've got the latest facts locked in now, so no more Trudeau mix-ups for me. Promise. Canadian flag. Cool. You're making me like you, man. Thanks for calling me out. It helps me get sharper. What's next on your mind? Okay, well, let's go to the chat. Is my Grok voice okay? What do you call a ghost in Ice Frozen Ghost? Linda said, when will time end for humanity? Oh, when will time end for humanity? Is that the question? Oh, look at that. Tarface says this is child who has autism loves talking to Alexis. Linda, when will time end for humanity? Okay, let's ask Grok. Let's ask Grok. I have to find the tab. I keep coming back to the fake drone strike. Okay. When will time end for humanity? And answer says, nobody knows exactly when humanity's time will end. There's no fixed date. Scientific predictions range from potentially within centuries due to human-caused risks to billions or even trillions of years from now in cosmic scenarios, with the most likely outcomes depending on whether we navigate near-term threats successfully. Okay, enough of my computer voice. Near-term risks next few centuries. Humanity faces the highest relative risks right now from anthropogenic, human-made, existential threats. Experts estimate 1 to 20% chance of extinction or permanent civilizational collapse this century alone, primarily from misaligned artificial superintelligence. Thanks for the warning, Grok. Engineered pandemics. Really? I never would have thought. Where did that one come from? Nuclear war, severe climate change, or ecological collapse. For example, philosopher Toby Ord, in The Precipice, puts the total existential risk of this century at about 1 in 6. These risks are unprecedented because advanced technology gives us the power to self-destruct in ways nature never could before the 20th century. Natural risks like asteroids or supervolcanoes are much lower in the short term, far less than 1% per century. Medium term, millions to billions of years, if we survive the current time of perils, well, there's a phrase that's coined by the very existential risk that is warning us of the existential risk. Grok is calling it this time of perils. Okay, I don't know if he made it up or she or it, but there it is. We're in the time of perils in 2026. Natural processes take over. In 600 to 800 million years, the sun's gradual brightening will make Earth's surface too hot for liquid water. What? Well, I don't know if I'm going to be around for that, so I don't know how concerned I should be. Runaway greenhouse effect, it says, ending complex life as we know it unless we intervene with technology. Example, space migration or solar shades. In 1 to 2.5 billion years, oceans fully evaporate, turning Earth into a barren Venus-like world. In 5 billion years, the sun becomes a red giant, likely engulfing or scorching Earth completely. This is really nice talk, isn't it? For the first day of the year, around 250 million years from now, some models predict a supercontinent forming with extreme heat and humidity, making large parts uninhabitable for mammals. But this assumes no human technological adaptation. Mammalian species typically last 1 million years in the fossil record, but humans' intelligence and technology could extend this dramatically by colonizing space or engineering solutions. Ultimate cosmic end, trillions plus years. Even if humanity or our descendants, post-humans, transhumans, people jacked into the matrix through Neuralink. Thank you, Elon. This coming from Elon's Grok. Spreads across the galaxy. Star formation ceases in 1 to 100 trillion years. The universe reaches heat death, maximum entropy, no usable energy, in timescales like 10 to 100 years, or million, I guess, or beyond, essentially. Eternal cold darkness. But this is so distant, it's practically irrelevant. Protons might decay, black holes evaporate, and matter itself could dissolve. In summary, humanity's time could end sooner than we'd like due to our own actions, making risk reduction, example, AI safety, biosecurity, global cooperation, arguably the most urgent priority. If we get past that bottleneck, we could potentially thrive for billions of years, or until the stars burn out. The future isn't predetermined. It's up to us in the coming decades. Man. Yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot. How about you? Yeah. We'll come back to this, but I did kind of skip over some stuff here tonight, and that's because, well, I wanted to show you a couple of things. First of all, last night we were talking about Trump and how he has been profiting personally and his family because he's president. And the information that I keep coming across is blowing my mind. I said to Mike last night, there are reports that the Trump family has created 256 different companies since Trump has come back into office. Specifically, I mentioned the Trump meme coin. And I showed you this the other night. The initial public offering came in at $75. That's that it instantly went, okay, so it came in lower, but then it, because of all the hype, the Trump meme coin instantly went to $75 a piece. And now today, it quickly started to come back down and it crashed and now sells for about $4.90. Because of this pump and dump on this meme coin, which is nothing more than computer code with the Trump brand on it. Trump is now personally $1 billion richer because of that one venture, which means he gets in low because they create it out of nothing. They just put the Trump brand on it. They call it a meme coin. They get it on the exchanges. People buy it because they listen to the marketing, the hype. It skyrockets to $75. And why do you think that it crashes? Because the people holding the bulk of the money start to sell. And when you sell, that signals to the market that there's diminishing demand and it tanks. Well, who would have been holding all that Trump meme coin? The guy who created it. He held the Trump organization, or that company, held the bulk of the coin. So then they sold it high. They came in, they just created it from nothing. People started to buy it. They bought a bunch of it. They collect all that real U.S. dineros, real money. It goes up to 75. They sell when it's high. And then it goes down and tanks. Now it's worth $490. Trump has $1 billion in the bank. Do you think that's right? Because he's using it to promote, using his position, his name, his brand. He's promoting all of that from the Oval Office. A position that is really, and a job that he has, which is really supposed to be there to serve the people. But did he serve the people when he took $1 billion out of their pockets? By selling? And was all the hype so celebrated and invested in? Because he's in that position. You talk about a conflict of interest. That's $1 billion. Unfreaking believable. And I keep, you got Trump derangements and everything. No, those are just numbers, man. You can decide for yourself, but that blows my mind. And I cannot understand why people are not more pissed off about it. I don't think it's ethical. I know it's not. Is it illegal? Well, if, let's say the Trump meme coin was regulated as a security, he'd be in jail. A bunch of people would be in jail, but it's not regulated as a security. And why is that? Because it's treated more like a currency, which it sort of isn't. It's a derivative of sorts. I don't think it really, do you go to the store and buy anything in a Trump meme coin? Would anyone accept it? Maybe. But it's not useful for transactions. So it doesn't really qualify under the even broad definition of what a currency really is. Anyway, it is something people have invested in. He's profited immensely. I'm just saying, it's ridiculous. And people just like, oh, well, it's okay. And the reason that he's getting away with it is because he's making the rules and he deregulated things. He pulled some of the regulations off when he came back in as president. Skeptical of cryptocurrencies before, but now embracing them and profiting. He's like, yeah, just let her rip, baby. And as I say, 256 is the report of new companies that he apparently, or the Trump family and Trump himself, are associated with or have started under the Trump brand since he came back into office. So in like less than a year. Is that an accurate number? I think it's probably pretty close. They've done all kinds of things. And this, I don't think, is really in the interests of the people, in the interests of the Trump family and Trump himself, for sure. I just compiled a little bit of a list of, some of the companies that he has been involved with or even outright owned. Some of them are pretty, well, interesting. I'll put it that way. Trump Tower, New York City, 40 Wall Street, New York City, Trump International Hotel, Trump Park Avenue. Some of these real estate investments have been lucrative for him. Trump Winery, Seven Springs. And then he had a bunch of licensing deals on branded properties, including one in Toronto, Trump Tower, Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, Trump Tower, Manila, Trump Towers, Istanbul, Trump Towers in India, in at least 3 locations. Just putting his brand on it. And yeah, and then there's a bunch of others too in Korea, Indonesia, and as I said, Canada. Hotels and resorts, a bunch of them. Las Vegas, Washington, New York City. And then he's got that golf course in Scotland, Turnberry, and other golf courses, Trump National in Bedminster, right? But then you get into this newer stuff. Banned for a while on Facebook. Now he's, in bed with the tech bros. So he's back on Facebook if he wants to be, and certainly back on Twitter. But he focuses on where? Truth Social, owned by his company, Truth Media and Technology Group. The thing that kind of got me focused on this again tonight is because of this. This just in the last, week or so, they've announced a deal to merge Trump Media with TAE Technologies. And they've talked about this. He's posting it on Truth Social around his social media posts, his own, on his account. Breaking news. Trump Media to merge with nuclear fusion firm in $6 billion deal. Trump Media to merge with nuclear fusion company. Wants to power AI. Yeah, see? The technocrats at work. Trump Media to merge with TAE Technologies, creating one of the first publicly traded fusion companies. Fusion power. Potentially. Or at least nuclear. Is it really going to be fusion power? There's technology they say they've figured out, but they certainly haven't perfected it. And I'm not even sure when they announced that they finally figured out how it works and how they can make it work. And they had that news conference. That was almost 2 years ago now. I'm not sure I even believed it because they said they were getting more power out of what they were putting in than what they put into it. And the laws of physics suggest that's not possible. But they say they did it. We'll see. Haven't heard really squat about it since then, so I'm skeptical. But this is a $6 billion deal. And I've been thinking, I'm not sure if all these technocrats, all these tech giants are really being completely honest with us. They're promising solutions to virtually every problem under the sun. And all you have to do is give them money. Invest, invest, invest. And after what happened with the Trump meme coin, would you invest in this? Maybe. I think I might put my retirement investments into something a little more blue chip, something more stable. Because I just don't know. And the track record on some of this stuff, I wouldn't say it's good. Let's go to the article on this one. This is big money. $6 billion. Yeah, for all you guys who are concerned about Mark Carney and his potential conflicts of interests, valid concern. Let's have transparency, make sure that he's following all the rules. That's fine with me, as long as he's following all the rules. But what about this guy? What about this guy? Is that the right article? No, I don't think it is. Hang on. Try it one more time. Make sure you get the right tab up. Okay. I think we should be looking at this. Money, $6 billion. Trump Media and Technology Group to merge with TAE Technologies. This is from Globe Newswire. So this is a PR company that puts out news releases for companies. A premier fusion power company, and all stock transaction value of more than $6 billion, coming out of Sarasota, Florida, and Foothills Ranch, California. Trump Media and Technology Group and TAE Technologies today announced the signing of a definitive merger agreement to combine in an all-stock transaction valued at more than $6 billion. Upon closing, shareholders of each company will own approximately 50% of the combined company on a fully diluted equity basis. The companies have posted supplemental slides to their respective websites, all of which can be accessed at tmtgcorp.com and tae.com. Highlights transaction to create one of the world's first publicly traded fusion companies. Deal to combine TMTG's access to significant capital and TAE's leading fusion technology. In 2026, the combined company plans to site and begin construction on the world's first utility-scale fusion power plant. 50 megawatts. Subject to required approvals. Additional fusion power plants are planned and expected to be 350 to 500 megawatts. Fusion power plants are expected to provide economic, abundant, and dependable electricity that would help America win the AI revolution and maintain its global economic dominance. How much government money do you think this company will scoop up to develop all of this? I bet you there will be some. TMTG's balance sheet to accelerate the path to power. The transaction will combine the strength of TMTG's strong balance sheet with TAE's leading technologies. As part of the transaction, TMTG has agreed to provide up to $200 million of cash to TAE at signing, and an additional $100 million is available upon initial filing of the Form S-4. Devin Nunes, TMTG chairman and CEO. There he is. You remember Devin Nunes, right? He's a Trumper. So he's got this job over there, Trump Media. Nunes said Trump Media and Technology Group built uncancelable infrastructure to secure free expression online for Americans. And now we're taking a big step forward toward a revolutionary technology that will cement America's global energy dominance for generations. Fusion power will be the most dramatic energy breakthrough since the onset of commercial nuclear energy in the 1950s, an innovation that will lower energy prices, boost supply, ensure America's AI supremacy, revive our manufacturing base, and bolster national defense. TMTG brings the capital and public market access to quickly move TAE's proven technology to commercial viability. I'm going to go back to Grok. And I'm going to ask Grok something important tonight. With regard to all of this. Grok's still up. I think I closed him off, but that's okay. Let's go over here. And this is pretty important shit, okay? Because of the money involved. And I'm pretty sure I smell government grants and I smell I smell a stampede of investment following hype. Okay, let's bring Grok back up. And here's what I want to know. Hey, Grok. Is fusion power at a point where it can be used in a commercially viable way? And Grok says, it's thinking, analyzing, scanning the web, answer coming. Hello, Grok. See, this is a hard question. Very difficult question. Oh my God. Yeah, here we go. Answer is no. Fusion power is not commercially viable yet as of early 2026. There are no operational plants producing electricity for the grid at scale or competing economically with existing energy sources. Major challenges persist, including achieving sustained net energy gain in magnetic confinement systems still below break even. Excuse me, inefficiencies in inertial confinement when accounting for full system losses, the first wall problem, where plasma erodes reactor materials, and tritium fuel scarcity, a single gigawatt plant could consume the world's annual supply with breeding tech unproven at scale. These hurdles mean essential technical advances are likely 15 to 20 years out. Those spin-offs like advanced power electronics and lasers are already benefiting grids, EVs, and other tech. That said, progress is accelerating dramatically. Private investment has topped $10 billion, supporting over 160 facilities worldwide. Operational under construction or planned, with diversification into tokamaks, stellarators, and other designs. High-temperature superconducting magnets are enabling smaller, cheaper reactors, speeding up development. Key milestones loom in 2026. Commonwealth Fusion Systems aims for first plasma in spark demo. TAE Technologies plans to start building its first utility-scale plant, boosted by a high-profile merger, high-profile, with Trump Media and Technology Group. Other players like Marvel Fusion are partnering on integrated designs, and ITER, a massive international tokamak, is gearing up to demonstrate 500 megawatt fusion output from 50 megawatt input as proof of concept. Yeah, you have to get more out of it than you put into it. This is like a free energy machine. That's what they're trying to develop, right? Governments are prioritizing it too. The U.S. Department of Energy roadmap targets deployment by the mid-2030s, while China advances aggressively. Market projections are bullish, $351 billion valuation in 2025, potentially growing to $538 billion in 2032, or even $40 to $80 billion in 2036 if breakthroughs hit. Optimists eye commercial demos soon, but skeptics note fusion's history of being decades away since the 1960s. By 2100, it could supply 10 to 50% of global electricity in various cost scenarios, adding trillions to GDP. Well, that could just be the answer to the U.S. debt. It's promising for unlimited clean energy, but patience is key. 2026 might bring exciting tests, not grid-ready power. You want to invest in that? Dividends could be years, maybe decades away. So you invest your money now, you might get a payoff later, but these companies will not be profitable in the even near term, even medium term, maybe ever. Even if we don't even know if the technology will even work. But it's got that Trump brand on it again, right? And it's like, I just don't know. It feels very much like I'm watching a televangelist. Send me your money now, and I will save you. I'm skeptical. I was skeptical even when there's researchers came out and they held that news conference. It was about 2 years ago. And I was looking at it, and they claim they got more energy out than they put in for the first time ever. That was only a couple of years ago, after decades of trying, but I was skeptical even then. And a lot of people actually were skeptical even then, even after the news conference. But now you have all these companies chasing it. Why? Because if you can convince people you have the answer to save humanity, a lot of people are going to give you a lot of money.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
So this is how these guys make a lot of money. One way, anyway. It's how Trump makes a lot of money. He makes money with your money. And it was on full display last night at the Trump New Year's Eve shindig. I've been to events like this, not at Mar-a-Lago or anything, but I've been around, some really rich people, and I ain't one of them. But I've seen that they live in a different world. They don't have to do things for themselves. There are some who do. They're all kind of different, but they're different because they kind of hang out together. They tend to, they just view the world in a different way. And they just, to them, money is like I've learned from them that money is an attitude as much as anything else. So last night at the shindig, the Trump shindig, they had an auction. Okay. And he's done that at his rallies too. Not the auctioning off part so much, I don't think, but he's had, I don't know if this is the same artist, but he gets an artist who paints a picture really quickly on stage. This is what happened last night. And then they auctioned this thing off. Well, in this case, it's not that Trump is like a Christian nationalist or anything, or a lot of the people around him are. So, was the decision to have the portrait of Jesus painted on stage just, random, or I don't know. You can decide. Anyway, that's what happened. So this artist paints a picture of Jesus, because in the United States, we have separation of church and state, of course. Kind of. Not right now so much. This artist paints a picture of Jesus, and then they auctioned it off. Anybody know how much this thing went for at the auction? $2.75 million. And then when I'm gonna show you the auction, and then I'm gonna show you why this guy's probably not gonna be happy that he bought this thing. Maybe he will, but probably not. I'm going to show you what's wrong with it.
Here we go.
Is
that amazing? Is that amazing? Great job. I don't know how you do that. It's 10 minutes. She's got portraits of me in the White House, and they're the best. I've replaced a lot of people with those portraits. I've had the greatest painters. You know, the White House recommends a list of 10 painters, and honestly, we use them. But this is the one that did the best painting, so I tell you that because these people are loaded with cash, just so you know. If you want to get a portrait, I would call Vanessa. So I'm going to start off. You know what we'll do? Eric Trump, you have a favorite charity? Yes. What would you like to give it to? So we're going to do on behalf of Eric Trump. Don, do you have a favorite charity? He's with Eric. Well, he's always been. They've been good, but that was a smart thing. That's good.
I mean, they do give them money to charity.
Right. And we'll do also half to the sheriff's department. Is that okay? So we're going to auction it off, and I'll start at $100,000. Okay? And honestly, just you want, but I actually think it's worth much more than that. And she's the hottest. How much? Who is that? Oh, Anthony. The man started off with one truck. He ended up selling his company for $4 billion. He had 5,000 trucks. How long did it take you to make $4 billion, Anthony? About 50 years? So 250,000 peanuts, but that's right. Anthony, we love you. How much? 300,000. Thank you very much. 500,000. Oh, you're a good artist. 500,000. Hussein. What? 550. Hussein, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're good.
650. Thank you very much. Mr. Wordine. What? 1 million. Whoa. Well, he's the biggest guy on Wall Street, so it's peanuts. He's the biggest guy on Wall Street. Don't let that red hat fool you. He wears that so that he sort of takes people by surprise before he plucks the money out of their wallets, right? Word that? So anyway, thank you very much. 1 million. 2 million? 2 million. Whoa. 2 million. 2 million. Wow. You see what I mean? Did I tell you these people? And yet that's peanuts. Anybody, I'll sign it if you'll give more. Are there any other bids? Any other bids? Yes, ma'am. 2 million. 2 million 5. 2 million 5. 5 million. 5 million or 2 million 5? 2 million 5. That's it. That's good. That's it. Her husband looked at her and said, "What the hell is that all about?" 5 million. Eddie, we have 2 million 5. 2 million 5. Anybody upping it? You see what happens here, John? How about that for entertainment? How is that as entertainment? We can have great musicians, everything else. But I saw this. She did something for us last night. She created a work of art. It was so incredible. I said, "Could you come and do it again?" Right, John? And she was a hit. Did you notice? I said, "No, let them stand on the floor." Not one person left the floor. You notice that, John, right? He's the one putting on this big shindig tonight. It's going to be amazing tonight. And you're invited to stay with us, Vanessa, okay? All right, we're 2 million 5. Anybody else? Going once? 2 million 750. Who is it? Oh, I know who that guy is. He's got plenty of cash. Thank you. Vanessa, you don't want to know about some of these guys. 2 million 750. Do I hear a 3 million?
Yeah.
Do I hear 3 million? It's going to St. Jude's. It's going to the sheriff's office. Sheriff's department. Huh? Yes, who what? Yes? Yes? Don't do it too much. Don't do it. We have to see a chapter filing tomorrow morning. Ladies and gentlemen, and one of our outstanding Palm Beachers had a file for chapter. He bid too much. Don't bid. So we have $2 million. We have $2,750,000. Do we have anything else? Any other bid? I want to thank you. Come on up on the stage. Come on up here. Come on up. I think you made a good deal, actually. Come on up. That's great. How about that? Did you ever sell one of your paintings for that? No? Whoa, look at this guy. This guy is good. He's a good man, a very successful guy, too. I want to thank you very much. That's a very nice outfit. I like this outfit. Thank you very much. It's actually even more beautiful up close. So you were just amazed by that. That's right. Well, thank you very much. And the charity thanks you very much. Thank you very much. You have a good time tonight. I appreciate it. Get this guy's number. She's got, it's, how many years? 6 years? Congratulations. It's a beautiful couple. Beautiful couple, right? Thank you, everybody, very much.
All right, thank you, guys. Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
Even the rich people I hang out with don't have that kind of coin. Well, yeah, some of them do. I don't, that's the wrong thing to say. I don't hang out with them. I've been to events where they go, not on a regular basis, just on a few rare occasions because of my stuff with automotive journalism. And so you meet car collectors who have big car collections of really expensive automobiles, and Jay Leno probably being the most famous car collector in this hemisphere, anyway. Yeah, I've seen Jay Leno. I was very, very close to him once. I went to the SEMA Auto Show, Las Vegas, and I was having a meeting, trying to get a sponsor for my show because I'm impoverished. And I was having the meeting with the company in a back room. It's this big industry trade show, but tons of people come, and they have like the coolest custom cars on display all through. It's a competition, and it's the convention center in Las Vegas is filled with cars and displays and companies, but the custom car stuff is just out of this world. Anyway, so I'm sitting there having this meeting, and who walks into the room? Jay Leno. And I'm sitting there and I'm having the meeting, and he's in the room. And I'm thinking, what should I do? Should I say, hey, Jay Leno, can I have your autograph, man? Or something like that. And I'm from Kanakistan, and I've got my own little show. And Jay Leno is like, he walks like literally right behind me. He's standing right behind me. And he's having a conversation with somebody. Well, I'm having my meeting, and I didn't say a thing. I just sat there. Jay Leno's there. I noticed him, and no, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not saying nothing because I would look like a fanboy, and he probably hates, the constant attention. He's probably okay with it. He's such a nice guy, but I'm not going to bother him. He doesn't give a crap about me. And I was in the middle of my meeting. So I was like, but that's as close as I ever came to Jay Leno. There's my Jay Leno story. Now back to the Jesus moment at the Trump shindig, 2.75 million. I don't know who that guy was about it. Great that the money goes to charity, But did you notice something about that painting? There was a social media post. It pointed out that Jesus has blue eyes. Do you know what the chances of Jesus actually having blue eyes is? Like pretty much nil, because of the history and genetics at the time when Jesus was alive, and the way demographics were at the time. And historians pretty much all agree that Jesus would have had brown eyes. But in the painting, Jesus has blue eyes. And then I got to thinking, why would that be? Why would Jesus have blue eyes? Anybody want to take a guess? Take a stab at it? What's your theory on this? Could it be ideological or political, maybe? Have anything to do with the current state of politics and and the meshing right now of religion and politics? Why would the artist give Jesus blue eyes? I don't think the answer makes me very uncomfortable. Well, there are two potential answers. Either it was just a spur of the moment thought and she didn't know any better, or it was intentional. And if it was intentional, I'm not comfortable with the answer. Okay. Because first of all, you're rewriting history, you're overlaying other issues at a time when there are real concerns about the US government and the influence of Christian nationalists and maybe white Christian nationalists. I'm just saying, okay? Yeah. And this guy, he probably didn't notice when he bought it. I don't know. But when he gets this thing home, right? He pays $2.75 million for it. The money going to charity, that's cool. But if he wants to sell that and try and recoup any portion of that, how much do you think he's going to get for that painting of Jesus with blue eyes? He scored points politically, and maybe even for his business, by buying that in a high profile way, acting like, an alpha male billionaire at the Trump thing. Maybe 2.75 million is nothing to him. Probably is. But my God, blue-eyed Jesus at the Trump shindig. You know what it makes me think of is like what other kind of artwork? I thought, when I saw this, I know where to get a better deal. I do. I know where to get a better deal online. And I think that, really, this is probably more in keeping with the whole Trump brand, the tone, the style of the current Trump administration. Here's a black velvet Elvis. You can get this one on greatbigcanvas.com for $58.32 on sale, 50% off, sale in soon. Regular $116.65. You can add it to your cart now at greatbigcanvas.com. Get your black Elvis, your black velvet Elvis painting of the king. An even better deal than that offered up last night by the new king, Donnie T. Drowsy Donnie. And then I thought, probably even better deal than that online. I thought, let's just take a look at some of these black velvet Elvis paintings that are out there. There's lots of them to choose from, but each one unique. Each one a work of art. Velvet Elvis. Some of these are wickedly creative. This one here just makes me look at the hair on some of these ones, man. Like this one's pretty good. I like that. That's pretty accurate, I'd say. This one, not too bad. Here's a crying Black Velvet Elvis. Love that hair. What the hell is that? That looks like a combination of Black Velvet Elvis and my black border collie with white highlights. Here's another Black Velvet painting of Elvis, signature help antique sport. I guess it's an old one. And his head's all distorted and shit. I don't know about that, man. What the hell is that? There's the king rocking and rolling. Oh, there's the piece de resistance. There's a twofer right there. Velvet, the fabric of kings. There's Elvis with Jesus. Can't do better than that. Can't do better than that. See, this guy could have got a better deal online. $2.75 million. But hey, you know, if you got the bucks, spend them. And it looks like consumers over Christmas did open their wallets, even though inflation is on the rise, both in Canada and the US. In both countries, early indicators suggest that consumers spent about 3.8 to 4% more this Christmas over last. But because prices are on the rise, you know what the biggest single trend in consumerism for Christmas was? Thrift stores. People were actually shopping for Christmas this year at thrift stores. Yeah, thrift stores reporting a 115% average increase in business this year on the U.S. side, as consumers looked to spend money on Christmas, yet economize at the same time. And of course, a lot of that is done on credit. And so this is not the end of the broadcast tonight, but I thought, well, this being January 1st, it's still the Christmas season. And of course, the Maverick Christmas album still available for download to anybody who donates to the show. And that's a better value than $2.75 million for a blue-eyed Jesus, in my view. Of course, I could be wrong. Could be a collector's item. Here I am asking for for help. While I sit here and poke fun at somebody, you know, and hats off to the gentleman who bought the painting, because the money did go to a charity, so that's cool. But for the rest of us commoners, the unwashed masses, tonight, we got bills to pay after Christmas, because we all got the Christmas credit blues, and I got more after this tune, so don't go away. Here's reality, man.
I got the Christmas credit blues.
Oh, yeah.
Bills hitting harder than booze. Swipe that card like a man possessed.
Gotta use your credit card.
Now I'm in financial distress.
Jeez.
Thought I was Santa, made a go. Lost my home, now I'm out in the cold. New Year's Eve, drinking my sorrows away. Crawl to the pub to make one last play. Sad drinks on me, spending the last of my breath. I don't know, I was running through my head. I woke up broke with one shoe gone. That's when you know the night went wrong. Debt collectors ring all day, talking sweet like they want a day. Sir, your balance is overdue. Buddy, join the freaking queue. Oh, hold on, guys. Nice try. New Year's Eve, drinking my sorrows away. Crawl to the pub to make one last play. Set drinks on me, spending the last of my breath. I don't know what was running through my head. Woke up broke with one shoe gone. That's when you know the night went wrong. I got the Christmas credit blues. The bells are coming due. Too damn poor to buy my dog a bone. If I don't ditch me, left me all alone. Thought I was Santa, made of gold. Now I'm home, Moses out in the cold. New Year's Eve, drinking my sorrows away. Crawl to the pub to make one last play. Set drinks on me, spending the last of my bread. I don't know what was running through my head. Woke up broke with one shoe gone. That's when you know the night went wrong.
I don't have a shoe on either foot right now. Oh man, different world those rich people live in, right? 2.75 million for blue-eyed Jesus. Sign me up for the Black Velvet Elvis with Jesus. And that's actually a serious note. Well, I'm laughing, but I wanted to end tonight with something very serious that has me reflecting, as I have been for, weeks now, longer, because of things going on in my personal life here, my dad and his operation, and, my parents aging and me getting old and kids growing up and just life and the way things just change, and now the new year. I hate change. I really do. I hate losing things and losing people. And even though I'm like that, I have to admit, I always take what I have at the moment far too much for granted. I know I do it, and yet I continue to do it. Work too much. Don't stop to smell the roses enough. Trying to change that as I get older. Make the most of the time that we have with people we love. Well, I've been bringing you some of these posts from Scott Adams, cartoonist. I'm sure a lot of you know. We brought one of his posts just recently to you, where he was having severe problems and he's lost the feeling in his lower extremities. And credit President Trump for this, he signed that right to try legislation so that people like Scott Adams could try even experimental treatments for things like cancer. Because they're at the end of their life and they're looking for something, anything at that point. And so he's like, give them access, let them try. That's what Scott Adams has been doing. Well, on this January 1st, 2026, Scott Adams has been assessed again. He has a health update. And what he says here really hit home for me. Again, I'm reflecting. I'm going to share it with you.
I will give you a little bit of a heads up. I talked to my radiologist yesterday. He was working on the day before New Year's, and it's all bad news. So the odds of me recovering are essentially zero. So I'll give you any updates if that changes, but it won't. So there's no chance I'll get my feeling back in my legs. And I've got some ongoing heart failure, which is making it difficult to breathe sometimes during the day. But at the moment, I can breathe, and I'm not in any pain. However, you should prepare yourself that January will be probably a month of transition, one way or the other. Now, I haven't made any decisions, but it was all bad news. No good news at all. So I will keep doing this as long as it makes sense, because I like doing it. Keeps me busy. What's weird is that I have much bigger problems than the stuff I'm talking about in the news, but I'm so interested in like what's happening in the world that it's very engaging, totally engaging. So after the show, I will continue doing a Robots Read News comic, which I do every day. I try to. And I'll try to make some new comics, Dilbert comics. And I'll just act like nothing's happening. I'll just pretend I have no problems. Which is weirder, it's easier than you think. Then I'll take some painkillers if I need them. There's no real limit to what I can take at this point. And I'll probably smoke massive amounts of marijuana because it puts me into a stupor that actually feels kind of good. In my current situation, if I do a full day's work, which I plan to do, I allow myself to enter the stupor zone. I mean, yesterday, for example, I was doing work and watching the Warriors game, high as a kite. It wasn't bad. The only thing that's really bugging me at the moment is the inability to breathe if I get one of these coughing attacks. And that could last hours. It could last 8 to 12 hours. So it's 8 to 12 hours of hell. But it's not always hell. But things are changing fast. So I thought I'd give you a little update on that. Has anybody gotten an update on Victor Davis Hanson? Because I know he had some major surgery, but we don't know what that was about. I hope he's doing better than I am. Yep, and I do appreciate all of your thoughts. I will probably write down some closing thoughts today, just so I have them. Just so you can see what I was thinking in my final glide path. He's recovering? Good. Good for him. Well, I will tell you that my interest and my empathy for all of you and for Americans in general is very high. So to my final breath, if there's anything I can do to make things better for you, I will definitely do it. All right, we're past the entertaining part of the show. And I don't want to get your year off to a bad start. But there will be more to come. All right, people, I'm going to say hi to the locals, beloved people privately. The rest of you, I'll see you tomorrow, I think.
I hope so. I'm going to try to not take things for granted so much, because I always miss what I have most when it's gone. Love you guys. See you back here tomorrow, I think.
I walk this ground, I breathe this air, felt the sun burn gold into my hair. Laughed too loud, cried too deep, carry love and buried grief. Every heartbeat wrote my name in water, fire, dust and flame. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The body falls, but the soul won't rust. Everything that is always was. Everything that was always will be. I am not gone, I am just moving on. Scattered like seeds on an endless sea. I'm still me. God's matrix of infinity. There is nothing, nothing but possibilities. Watch me break, watch me spill across the rivers, over the hills. Carbon and water, light and heat, a billion hearts will feel my beat. The tree will wear my skin as bark. The wind will sing my laugh in the dark. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I'm not ending, darling, I'm turning into us. Everything that is always was. Everything that was always will be. I am not gone, I am just moving on. Reborn in the roots of a cedar tree. I'm still me in God's matrix of infinity. There is nothing, nothing but possibilities. Was I ever here? Was any of this real? Did the light ever land on my face for real? Were these hands ever mine? This heart ever true? Then I remember the weight of love in you. The taste of salt from a tear I cried. The way the morning found me alive. I felt, I heard, I hoped, I tried. I think I was, and I will be again. What will I become? What will I be? Maybe rain that kisses the sea. I'm becoming us.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.